Welcome to Cool Bits, where we point out our favorite small video game moments. A cool bit can be a secret, an Easter egg, or just a small detail that really resonated with us. And this time, we'll be taking a look at a lot of small details that resonated with us in Super Mario Odyssey's Mushroom Kingdom. So one of the coolest moments in Super Mario Odyssey doesn't come until after you've beaten the game. Because just when you think you've seen it all, a brand new kingdom becomes available, and it's none other than the Mushroom Kingdom itself. And not only is it a full level in its own right, but it's also hiding a surprising amount of references to past games in the series, even if it may not seem like it at first. Because the Mushroom Kingdom here, and Peach's Castle by extension, doesn't seem to be based around any single past incarnation, even if it is evocative of many of them. But it doesn't take too long to realize that there is one game in particular that references quite a bit more than the others, being of course, Super Mario 64. You might first notice it with those distinctive bubbly trees, only in proper 3D this time, or when you first step foot into Peach's Castle and hear that classic music, as you explore a similarly shaped foyer. And hey, do you remember that secret where you would stand on the sun icon and look into the light from the ceiling? Yep, that's back too, only instantly awarding a power moon this time. And then there are the nearby tower interiors that are shaped just like a room from Super Mario 64, complete with framed pictures they can jump into. And yes, it even makes the same noise at the start of each mission too. And in case all of this somehow didn't tip you off, there's a courtyard that's pretty much ripped directly from Super Mario 64 in all of its polygonal glory, even requiring you to look the part to gain access by wearing the appropriate cap and suit. Now, if you played Super Mario 64 at all, then none of this is news to you. But there are still quite a few other throwbacks that are a little bit more subtle, such as how Yoshi can once again be found as an endgame reward on the roof of Peach's castle. And just like before, you still can't ride him, which makes having to capture him all the more fitting. Now, if you want to collect all the Power Moons in the Mushroom Kingdom, then you're going to have to drain the moat at some point, just like how you did back in Super Mario 64. Even the process is similar, requiring you to ground pound a few specific objects. And just like before, you'll find the entrance into the castle on the right side. Oh, and when you're exploring the castle grounds, the complete lack of music interspersed only by chirping birds is also exactly how it was in Super Mario 64. And speaking of birds, some of the ones that can be found here resemble the penguins that, of course, first appeared in that classic game. And on that note, even though the chests in the courtyard are new to this area, the idea of having to unlock them in a set order is, once again, lifted directly from Super Mario 64. And although the boos that used to be found here have gone missing, it's almost a little too fitting that members of the undead show up if you fail to unlock the chests in the right order. Now, up to this point in Super Mario Odyssey, you've seen 3 different versions of Dory, being the sea creature that first appeared in Super Mario 64, with each one being a different color. So it's only fitting that you would see a 4th one here in the Mushroom Kingdom. Except this one is blue, matching his more polygonal predecessor perfectly. Oh, and quick side note, but the lake that Dory is swimming in here is shaped like a mushroom. Neat! In fact, there are so many Super Mario 64 references that they aren't even exclusive to the Nintendo 64 version of the game. Because you know that maze near the castle where you have to chase a rabbit around? Well, the exact same thing happened at the start of Super Mario 64 DS. And speaking of that game, the ramp that they added from the moat just left of Peach's Castle might have influenced a similar one in the Mushroom Kingdom. So by now, there should be little doubt that this entire kingdom was built as a love letter to Super Mario 64, which is fitting given that Super Mario Odyssey was designed to be a return to that game's more open style. But that doesn't mean it's the only past Mario game to get some love, because there are some references to a few other games in the series too. And no, we don't just mean the 2D section inside the well themed to Super Mario Bros. Because you may have noticed that one of the trees here looks just a little bit different from the others, bearing a tanuki tail. This is a direct callback to the tail tree from Super Mario 3D Land. And finally, for many of you, your first glimpse of the Mushroom Kingdom in this game may have been by way of Yoshi's house. But did you catch that his entire home is a direct reference to its first appearance in Super Mario World? Not only does it have the exact same brick fireplace, but there are also exactly 3 trees to provide shelter. Oh, and the entire thing is surrounded by a picket fence, just like is shown on the map in Super Mario World. Neat! The Mushroom Kingdom has always been home to a lot of secrets, but never quite to this extent. So it's pretty fun to see all the ways in which it celebrates the series' heritage, both big and small, and we think those are some pretty cool bits. And that wraps it up for this episode of Cool Bits for Super Mario Odyssey. Now let us know if you have any cool bits of your own by posting in the comments, and you may feature it in a future episode. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain for more cool bits and other things gaming too.